Hello class, so after reviewing the marriage contract file, I realized that I have found what I think are the 5 most important questions to ask before going into marriage or while you decide to go into marriage. Marriage contract is basically like an understanding. It can be written or not written, just questions you ask before going into marriage, where it's an agreement between two partners about what the roles, responsibilities are going to be before or while going into a marriage. These are my top 5 questions that I think should be discussed when going into a marriage. So it would be division of labor at home. So basically, who's doing what? Who's gonna take care of some responsibilities at the house, or the financial responsibilities of paying the bills? Which brings me to the second question, the finances and breadwinning. So basically, who's going to be paying what, and who's going to be bringing in most of the money to take care of expenses at home. Number 3, children and discipline. So who's going to handle disciplining the children, taking care of the children, taking the children to school? Number 4, relationships with your in-laws. So before going into marriage, you have to make sure that you have a good relationship with your in-laws, or at least an agreement of how your relationship with your in-laws should be taken care of. And number 5, changes over time. So basically, what's going to happen if something changes in your life? So basically, if one of the partners loses a job, or if something happens where you end up losing your house or your car or your form of transportation, anything like that. And yeah, so I'll be explaining all of those 5 and why I think they're important. So first of all, division of labor at home. This is basically who's going to be taking care of the chores at home, or who's going to be maintaining the house. This is important because it'll relieve the stress of seeing who's gonna do what, because everybody will already know their role in their house. And usually this just helps make sure that the partners don't argue about it in the future. So it's better to have it set where you already know who's going to do what, to avoid any further miscommunications and further disagreements. So finances and breadwinning is the second one. I think it's important to ask who's going to be managing your finances at home. So what part of your income is going to bills, what part is going to food? Just making sure that these finances are handled so that it doesn't cause any further issues while you guys are married, and it can avoid having disagreements as well, and you just don't want to overspend. Number 3, children and discipline. I think this is important to talk about because you want to know how you're gonna handle your children, how you're gonna discipline them, because you don't want your partner to have a different way that they discipline children, and maybe they don't think it's wrong, and you might see it as wrong, and this can cause disagreements within your partnership. So it's important to talk about it and make things clear about how you would prefer to discipline your children, and come to an agreement of how you're gonna do it. Number 4, relationships with your in-laws. I think it's important that you define your relationship with your in-laws before going into your marriage, or after you review your marriage contract, because it's important to define those boundaries that you're going to set. So where holiday is going to be spent at your in-laws or just with your family. It's important to define these and let them know as well, because You don't want to to build resentment within your family, and this just causes issues, and it's better to live at peace and not have any of these issues affect you guys. So it's important to talk about it. And number 5, changes over time. So if anything happens where somebody loses a job, one of the partners loses a job, or if you guys have issues where money's not coming in like it used to, you lost an income and you can't pay the bills, it's important to either have some savings or manage your income in a way where you can pay the bills on time, or just have a rule or something where if a change happens, you are already set, or you have something to back up on, or things like that. And something that I would say would also be important to add into a marriage contract is for partners to have their own personal space where they can like have their own time. So either if it's friendships, going out with your friends, having a hobby, it's important to let the other partner know it, while doing this marriage contract, so that you guys come into an agreement of how you're gonna handle that free time. And that's it. Those are the 5 questions or things that I think should be discussed in a marriage contract, because it's important to know what you're going into when getting married. And even though it's not a literal contract, these are important questions that should be discussed. And when going into a marriage, you want to know what you're going into. So yeah, that's it. That's what I think you should discuss when going into a marriage.